I slammed the carving knife down too hard. It echoed. 10 heads turned. 10 forks froze midair. But I just smiled, wiped my hands on the apron, and stepped back. "Turkey's ready," I said. My voice didn't crack. Not yet. The dining room was full. Declan at the head, Natalie to his left, their daughter Ava, in sparkly tights, kicking her legs under the table. My niece Emma sat beside her, already pouring wine. The others filled in the space, cousins-in-laws, one neighbor they'd invited last minute. No one offered to help me plate. No one asked if I'd eaten. Declan stood up, raised his glass, cleared his throat. I paused behind the kitchen door, half hidden, holding the last dish, sweet potatoes, toasted pecans on top. "I just want to say," he began, "how lucky we are this year." Murmurs of agreement. "We've been through a lot, but we've stayed strong. Because we show up, we contribute, we give." Ava clapped lightly. He smiled, nodded to Natalie. "And some of us," he said louder now, "some of us just take." Laughter. I didn't move. He kept going. "There are people who think living in someone's house, eating their food, and giving nothing back is enough." More laughter. My fingers tightened on the edge of the dish. They never offer. They never say thank you. They just exist. Like that's a contribution. Natalie chuckled. "Passive generosity, I think she calls it." Declan raised his glass higher. "To the real givers in this family." They clinked. Even Ava. The sound was too bright, too crisp. I walked in and set the dish down in silence. Nobody looked at me. Not even once. I sat. Declan passed the green beans over me without a glance. Natalie carved the pie she hadn't baked. Someone complimented the stuffing. Natalie said, "Trader Joe's." I had made it from scratch. Forks scraped plates. Chairs shifted. Ava whispered something to Emma, and they laughed. I picked at my food. It was cold already. Declan's voice returned. "Mom, did you send that check for Ava's tuition yet?" I nodded. He looked away before I finished the gesture. After dinner, everyone drifted into the living room. The football game was already playing. Natalie poured more wine. No one touched the dishes. I stood alone in the kitchen, piled plates, greasy pans, mashed sweet potatoes hardened at the edges. I filled the sink, ran hot water, washed each fork like I was trying to erase fingerprints. The garbage disposal clogged. I didn't call for help. I fixed it myself up to my elbows in food sludge. My back ached. I dried the last glass, placed it upside down. In the hallway, I heard laughter again. Declan's voice. Natalie's voice. Ava squealing as they played some game. No one said thank you. I walked upstairs, peeled off the apron, and placed it in the hamper. The room they gave me used to be Ava's nursery. Now it held one bed, one lamp, no photos. I sat on the edge and stared at the carpet. Beige, thin, already stained near the corner. From downstairs, music, laughter, someone shouting about the score. I picked up my phone. No texts, no missed calls. Just a message from my bank, auto transfer, complete, $9,380 gear. Ava Winter tuition. I locked the screen. I didn't cry. Not then. I turned off the light. And as the house buzzed with life below me, I sat in the dark, waiting for what I didn't know. But something in me had shifted. Something small, quiet, permanent. I reached under the bed, pulled out the old yellow envelope, and placed it on the nightstand. I slammed the cabinet door harder than I meant to. 1 cup, 1 plate, 2 forks, all from last night's dessert. And none of them mine. The sink was full again, crumbs, sticky wine glasses, forks, caked in pie. I turned on the faucet. Hot water hissed. I scrubbed like it mattered. Behind me, Natalie's heels tapped across the tile. "Oh, good, you're up," she said. She didn't wait for an answer. "If you could start the laundry after, that'd be great. Ava needs her jersey for practice tonight." She reached for her smoothie bottle and didn't look back. "I'll handle breakfast," I said. "Perfect," she replied already, halfway down the hall. "Just keep things moving." The faucet kept running. I ground the coffee, boiled the water. No one in this house used a French press but me. 3 eggs, 2 slices of toast, 1 cup of black coffee. I placed everything on the table. Declan came down in a rush shirt, unbuttoned tie, askew eyes on his phone. He didn't say good morning. He didn't see the coffee. He didn't see me. Natalie kissed his cheek. "You're late again. Mom still hasn't updated the car registration," he muttered. I looked up. "It's registered." "Then why's it still under your name?" "It's still my car." His eyes flicked to me, sharp and brief. "I'm driving it. I pay for gas." Natalie chimed in, laughing. "Let him have this one, Maris." I didn't reply. He grabbed the keys from the counter. The same keychain he'd made in 5th grade art class. Blue plastic initials burned in. I didn't ask for it back. He walked out without touching the eggs. The front door slammed. From the kitchen window, I watched him pull out of the driveway. My old Subaru. My plates. Still had the bumper sticker from the road trip I took with my late husband. The one where Declan had stayed home. I stood at the sink again. Washed the unused plate. Re-wiped the counter. The smell of coffee filled the room, but no one thanked me. No one drank it. I poured the cup down the drain. Upstairs, Ava shouted about missing socks. Natalie called back something about checking the laundry room. The house hummed around me, busy alive without me. I picked up the dishcloth, folded it neatly. My hands moved on autopilot, but my mind wasn't numb anymore. Not this morning. The yellow envelope was still upstairs waiting on the nightstand. But today, I didn't just wait. I opened the hall closet, pulled out the banker's box I hadn't touched in a year. Inside, old bills folders. 1 slim binder. My name was on every document. I carried the box back to the bedroom, placed it next to the envelope. Then I pulled open the bottom drawer of the dresser, Natalie's backup linens, Declan's old t-shirts. Things they thought I wouldn't touch. I placed the binder inside, buried it under the fabric. Then I closed the drawer slowly, deliberately. Downstairs, the doorbell rang. Emma's voice floated in. "Something about a garden tour this afternoon." Ava laughed. I stayed in the room. I wasn't done packing. I tapped the screen and hit transfer. 1,200, gone in 3 seconds. Not a thank you. Not even a text. Just an old dryer dragged to the curb and a new stainless one delivered like magic, like it came from the sky. Like I didn't just hand over what took me years to save. That morning, Natalie cornered me between the pantry and fridge. "Hey, the dryer's shot." "It's not draining. Declan says you might be able to handle it." She didn't blink when she said handle, like I was the repairman, like I was the one who broke it. I opened my mouth. She lifted her coffee extra oat milk vanilla syrup, the kind I wasn't allowed to touch, and added, "It's just, since you're here, you know, rent-free and all." I nodded. Declan came in 2 minutes later, already dressed for golf. "She give you the dryer update." I nodded again. He clapped my shoulder like I was a buddy, not his mother. "You're a lifesaver, Mom. Seriously. We'll pay you back, just not this month. Okay?" I didn't ask when this month started feeling like never. Later that evening, they had friends over. I cooked, cleaned, stayed in the kitchen while they laughed over wine. I heard my name. "She's got it good," Declan said. Voice light, too loud. "Comfortable retirement," Natalie added. "No rent, no bills. Coffee hot and ready every morning." Someone asked if I was home full-time. Declan chuckled. "She's part of the house now, like the water heater, old but reliable." Laughter. I didn't cry. I finished wiping the counter. Emma stopped by, briefly dropping off a bag of lemons from her backyard. Her eyes lingered on mine, quiet but sharp. "You okay?" she asked. I lied. Always. I wired the money that night after dishes. Didn't want to do it in the daylight. In the memo line, I typed appliance fund, like I was still pretending it came from somewhere official. Then I slipped into the laundry room. Not to clean, just to sit. I shut the door. Let the warm dryer hum against my back. No one knocked. No one noticed. I stared at the chipped tile, the detergent bottle half used, the socks left behind. A week ago, Ava had asked me why I still folded their laundry. Isn't that like a robot's job? I'd smiled. But inside, something sank. I didn't mind helping. I never had. But lately, help had turned into expected, kindness into currency, and I was the only one who seemed to know we were running a tab. I closed my eyes, breathed slow. Somewhere upstairs, Natalie laughed again. In that moment, I didn't feel angry. I felt replaced, like they'd traded the version of me who raised a boy for a card with a routing number, and it was working, but not for long. I zipped the dress, braided Ava's hair, buttoned Caleb's shirt. Natalie didn't ask if I wanted to join the shoot. She just said, "Could you watch them while we change?" So I did. I wiped breakfast off their cheeks. Tied. Caleb's shoelaces fed Ava a snack to keep her calm. Declan paced the living room, adjusting his collar. Natalie posed in front of the mirror, twisting her body, left, then right. "Does this clash with the background?" she asked him. He shrugged. "Just don't wear black. It looks too formal." She glanced at me. I was in black. I took the hint. "You'll stay here with the kids, right, Maris?" she asked, not waiting for a yes. "We'll just be gone an hour." They left in a flurry heels keys perfume. Declan's voice saying something about natural light. The door clicked behind them. The silence came fast. The kids settled into cartoons. I folded the laundry they'd left on the couch. Every sock paired, every shirt pressed flat. They returned just before sunset, laughing about poses and lighting and how the photographer's dog tried to bite Declan. They didn't ask how the kids were. The next evening, Natalie posted the photo. I saw it while stirring chili. The caption, "Grateful for family this season." There they were. Declan in beige, Natalie in soft blue Ava, and Caleb sitting between them, matching boots, smiles wide. No me. No hand on Ava's shoulder. No shadow in the back. Not even a blurred shape behind them. I stared at it. Blinked. Looked again. Nothing. I didn't say a word. I finished the chili, poured it into bowls, called them in. Natalie looked at her phone between bites. "Didn't the photos turn out great?" I nodded. "Shame we couldn't fit everyone," she said casually. It was a tight frame. Plus, the aesthetic needed to be cohesive. I smiled. The kind you give at funerals. After they went to bed, I sat on the couch, the TV flickering soundlessly behind me. I scrolled back to the photo, saved it once, then deleted it. Not just from the gallery, but from me. I used to think being needed was the same as being loved, that showing up, giving everything, meant I'd be seen. But they saw what I gave, not who gave it, and that was the difference. I turned off the TV, turned off the lights, walked down the hallway to my room. In the dark, the house felt bigger, colder, and I started wondering how much of it I had actually disappeared from and how much I'd quietly built. I yanked the drawer open, the old one, bottom right, always stuck halfway. I'd shoved birthday cards and church bulletins in there over the years, things I meant to toss but couldn't. Declan's preschool drawings, Ava's thank you notes written with backward letters. But behind it all, something thicker, yellow, crisp edges. I pulled it out. A folder, my handwriting across the top. Lake House. I sat on the edge of the bed and flipped it open. First page, the deed. Notarized, dated, signed. My name, only mine. I blinked, reading it again. The house by the water, the one they spent every summer in, the one Natalie redecorated top to bottom and called our escape. The one Declan bragged about to co-workers. The one they invited friends to without asking. Still mine. I flipped the next page. Bank receipts. I remembered the payments. That long summer when Declan had just lost his job and Natalie was pregnant. They'd begged me to invest in the future. I had. Every wire transfer. Every fee. My account. I got up, opened the closet, pulled down the storage box where I kept the boring things, old passwords, expired insurance cards. I started digging. Tuition statements. I found the emails. The first one, Mom, can you cover Mia's semester until we figure out the FAFSA? Then the second, it's just for now. We'll take over by next year. But year after year, I'd kept paying. Books, dorm fees, summer classes, every single one from my routing number. I found a copy of the mortgage deferment too. The one they filed last year when Declan said the interest rate spiked and they just needed a buffer. It was tied to my emergency account. All of it. I sat back down. For years, I believed I was a guest. That this home, this life, this role, I was lucky to be allowed in it. But none of it ran without me. Not the food, not the bills, not the air conditioning. They didn't erase me. They were propped up by me, and they didn't even know it. I closed the folder, pressed it flat, ran my fingers across my name. I didn't feel rage. I didn't feel vengeance. I felt still, like a lake right before it freezes over. Then I placed the folder back in the drawer gently where it belonged. Tomorrow, I'd start making a few quiet phone calls. I drove without telling anyone. No errands, no school pickups, no dryer deliveries. Just silence. June opened the door in her robe. Her eyes widened. Well, she said, stepping aside. This is a surprise. I hadn't seen her since the funeral. She poured 2 coffees black, no sugar like always. We sat in her den surrounded by old photos and the smell of peppermint hand lotion. I needed to see someone who remembers him, I said. Thomas. Her face softened. He adored you. I nodded. I think Declan forgets that. June sighed and picked at the sleeve of her robe. He doesn't forget. He just reimagines. We sat with that for a minute. You remember how Thomas was with him? She asked. Firm, I said. Too firm, she whispered. Especially after he lost his job. Declan was what, 9, 10. I stared at the rim of my mug. He never stopped trying to earn it back. That, I'm proud of you, he never got. I looked at her. You saw it too. June nodded. Thomas loved him, but he pushed harder on Declan than the others. Always telling him to man up. And when you stepped in too much, he'd say I was babying him. She smiled, faint and sad. But you did it anyway. I looked around the room. Photos of birthdays, graduations, vacations. June had always been the quiet observer in the family, just like me. She leaned forward. I've seen him with Natalie. She talks, and he listens, like someone afraid to lose his footing. She puffs him up, makes him feel 10 feet tall. But only when he's standing on someone else. My throat tightened. He's not cruel, she said, but he's scared. And Natalie gives him permission to be proud, even if it costs you. I stared at the window. She was right. Declan didn't become this way alone. He needed someone to point the finger, someone to feed the pride while cutting away the shame. I used to think he was strong, that all those clipped words and sharp looks came from power, but he was just patching holes in his own armor. I stood. Thank you. You sure you don't want to stay? I need to make another stop. She squeezed my hand. I always knew you held more than you let on. I smiled. I still do. And I drove home. Heart heavier, but clearer. That night, while they watched TV and shouted over some game show, I sat at the kitchen table and pulled out my notepad. No more wiring money on impulse. No more quiet approvals. I had a list to make. I baked the cake before sunrise. Chocolate ganache, fresh raspberries, layers even. I sifted powdered sugar like snowfall, placed it carefully in the fridge. No one asked me to, but I knew they'd forget. They always did. By noon, the house was busy. Natalie barked orders like a drill sergeant in heels. Declan carried chairs from the garage. The kids were dressed in matching polos. Balloons, streamers, trays of catered sliders. None of it for me. I heard her call it Declan's Appreciation Day. No joke. She made a custom sign. I stayed in the kitchen wiping the same counter 3 times. When I asked if she needed help, Natalie waved me off. "You've done enough," she said, smiling without her eyes. "Just enjoy the day." Guests arrived by 3. Declan's co-workers, Natalie's yoga friends, one of the school moms I didn't recognize. Everyone hugged Natalie like she'd saved a village. I poured lemonade. No one noticed. I asked about the cake. Natalie blinked. "Oh, we picked one up from Haven's." She opened a white box. Carrot cake. Dry. Frosting like glue. I stared at the fridge. I made one. She didn't look up. Declan prefers store-bought. They served it without a word. I stood by the sink as they sang to him. My hands trembled, but I smiled. Then I heard it. "She should be grateful we let her stay," someone whispered. A voice I didn't know. Laughter followed. A clink of wine glasses. I stood still. It was my house once. I paid off the original mortgage. Chose the tiles in the bathroom, the cabinets in the kitchen. I hosted every birthday here for 25 years. And now I was the tolerated one. The uninvited, the help. No one mentioned the date. Not even Declan. Not even Natalie, who once helped me blow out candles, while sitting on my lap, frosting on her cheek. I walked to the fridge. Opened it slowly. The chocolate cake sat untouched. Condensation beaded on the glass plate. I took it out, walked to the trash, and dropped the entire thing in one clean motion. Natalie turned, confused. "What are you?" I cut her off with a smile. It didn't fit the aesthetic. She blinked. I walked past her and went upstairs. I didn't cry. I didn't shout. I sat on the edge of my bed and stared at the photo of Thomas on the dresser. He never missed my birthday. Not once. Downstairs, the music played. Declan laughed, and I began to write something in my notepad. One line at first. August 12th. Noted. I grabbed the folder and walked. No coat, no makeup, just the papers and my name. The law office sat between a dry cleaner and an insurance agency. No marble, no receptionist in pearls, just a bell above the door that rang when I stepped inside. Cameron Dale didn't ask small questions. He looked at the deed, the tuition records, the checks with my signature. He didn't raise an eyebrow when I slid over the statement showing I'd wired every single mortgage payment for the past 6 years. He only said one thing: "Would you like to go quietly or loudly?" I didn't answer right away. I opened the cardboard box I brought. Inside, photocopies, emails, screenshots, Venmo receipts. One bank statement after another, each labeled, each dated. "I don't want revenge," I said. "I want truth on record. I want them to stop calling me a burden." He nodded. "You're not." That caught me. Not the paperwork. Not the cold facts. Just that 2 words I hadn't heard from anyone in years. I pulled out a smaller envelope from the folder and handed it over. "For when they threaten me with eviction," I said. "They haven't yet," I added. "But it's coming." He took it, didn't open it, just nodded again and slid it into his drawer. "Would you like me to initiate formal notice?" "Not yet," I said. "Let them keep thinking I'm nothing." He smiled. Not unkindly. That's the most dangerous kind of plan. Before I left, he handed me a plain white card with his name embossed. "If they push," he said, "call me before you push back." I walked out lighter than I had in months. Not happy. Not safe. But solid. Back home, Natalie was in the living room complaining about the HOA fees. "They raised it again." She groaned. "We might need to ask your mom to cover." She paused when she saw me. I didn't say anything. Just nodded and walked past her. Upstairs, I opened my closet, tucked the lawyer's card behind the mirror. Then I returned to the kitchen. scrubbed dishes, wiped counters, baked banana bread because the kids liked it. No one said thank you, but I wasn't baking for them anymore. I was building rhythm. So I'd know how it felt when I finally broke it. I sealed the envelope with both hands, pressed down every edge, licked it shut, walked 3 blocks to the mailbox, mailed it to myself. Return address the lake house. It was still in my name, always had been. They never checked, never cared. They just assumed everything belonged to them once I signed the check. I returned home before anyone noticed I was gone. Upstairs, I opened the closet and reached behind the extra linens, pulled out a second envelope, identical, except this one had a label across the front, handwritten in blue ink, "Open when they beg." I didn't smile, just slipped it back into place and stacked a blanket over it. The next task, the receipts. I went through every drawer, every old folder, every half-torn envelope, pulled out records like a surgeon removing shrapnel, plane tickets to Declan's college orientation, 3 years of Natalie's grad school meal plans, hotel rooms for their family vacations when the kids were small, hospital bills from when Declan broke his wrist and I covered the deductible they couldn't afford, dental bills, daycare, birthday parties. I found one receipt that broke me, a deposit slip for the venue where they hosted their wedding after they told people I hadn't contributed. The amount was circled, my handwriting. $2,500. No mention, no toast. Not even a place card at the head table. I scanned it, added it to the red binder. The binder wasn't fancy, just a cheap thing from the pharmacy, a zip pocket in the front, metal rings inside. But it was heavy, not from the paper, from the years. Every page told a story they never bothered to remember. The time I paid for the exterminator when Natalie swore she saw termites, the oil change receipts, the piano lessons they insisted helped the kids develop discipline. I flipped through it, page by page, stopped on a credit card statement where the charge was labeled baby shower catering, Natalie. They said it was a group effort, but only my card paid for the quiche. I punched the holes, slid it in. By midnight, the binder was full. I zipped it shut, wrapped it in a dish towel, hid it behind the laundry detergent on the top shelf in the garage. Nobody looks there, especially not people who've never done laundry themselves. The next morning, Natalie asked if I could babysit the kids so she could meet a friend for brunch. I nodded, packed snacks, wiped faces, changed diapers. When she left, she smiled faintly. "You're such a help, Maris." That was the first time she used my name in weeks. I said nothing, just watched her car drive off while the baby napped in my arms. Then I opened my phone, emailed Cameron Dale 1 sentence. "The binder is ready." The phone rang once. I answered before the second. Cameron didn't waste time. I pulled the records. "You're listed as a silent co-signer on the main house." I blinked. "What refinanced 3 years ago? Your name is on the equity agreement. You signed it." I closed my eyes. Declan. The stack of forms he gave me that summer. He said it was just an update insurance for the roof repairs. He smiled when he handed me the pen. "It's nothing, Mom. Just back up." I signed. I trusted. "I didn't know," I said quietly. "You hold legal liens on both homes," Cameron continued. "The lake house is entirely yours. This one at least partially. And depending on how you move, you could sell both." Sell. I looked around the kitchen. The scratched island. The cupboards Natalie reorganized without asking. The back door Declan never fixed. All this time, I thought I lived here by mercy. Turns out they lived here by mine. "I won't take anything I said." A pause on the other end. "I'll just stop giving." I ended the call, set the phone down, poured myself coffee. Black. No cream. The house was quiet. Natalie had taken the kids to school. Declan was at work. I sat alone at the table where I had once been told I only take. I sipped, slowly. I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel bitter. I felt calm, like everything had finally settled. They had never asked where the money came from, never cared how the bills got paid, never questioned the new tires, the fixed roof, the paid tuition. They just assumed, and I let them. But now I knew. I had no need to shout, no need to fight. All I had to do was stop. Stop paying. Stop co-signing. Stop filling in the gaps they pretended didn't exist. I rinsed my mug, dried it, placed it gently in the cabinet. That evening, Natalie asked if I could cover the vet bill. Just until Friday, she said. We're a little tight. I smiled. I'm not the faucet anymore. She blinked. What, I'm not turning anything off. I'm just not the one holding the handle. She looked confused, maybe offended, maybe a little afraid. I didn't explain. I just walked into the garage, opened the cabinet, and took down the red binder. Then I placed it by the door. The phone buzzed just after midnight. I let it ring once, twice, then I answered. Natalie's voice came through, tight, panicked, echoing like she was in a marble bathroom. Hey, sorry to call late. I lost my wallet. Silence. She kept going. We're in Cancun. It must have been the beach or the cafe. I don't know. Anyway, can you wire $800 just to cover a few things? I'll pay it back Friday. I stared at the red binder still sitting by the door, unopened. You said you were staying home this week, I said. Oh, it was last minute. Declan said it would be good for us. A little getaway, and the flights were cheap. And Mom, please. I just need the money tonight. I didn't answer right away. I wanted to remember the tone of her voice, not the demand, not the fake concern, but the tremble under it. The first sign of realization. I'm not funding pretend emergencies anymore, I said. A beat of silence. Then her voice cracked. Excuse me. You're not stranded, you're just caught. I have children, she hissed, and I've already raised mine. You can't be serious. You live with us. No, I said softly. You live with me. She hung up. I didn't call back. The house was still. I walked into the kitchen, opened the fridge, poured a glass of water. This was the first time I'd said no. Not just hesitated, not just delayed. Said it out loud, clear, final, and she didn't know what to do with it. I took the glass outside and sat on the back steps. The air was cool still. No shouting, no phones, no passive-aggressive sighs from Natalie, no loud footsteps from Declan pretending not to notice. Just night. And peace. In the morning, I checked my bank account. No pending transactions, no automatic drafts I didn't authorize. I made coffee. Black. Took it out to the porch. Declan came downstairs alone, hair messy, phone in hand. She said you didn't help, he muttered, not looking at me. I didn't, I said. He looked up, blinked. I sipped my coffee. Is this how it's going to be now? I shrugged. It's already been. You just didn't see it. He didn't answer. He grabbed his keys, slammed the door, and drove off. I watched his car disappear tires that I paid for tags. I renewed insurance I covered. Not anymore. I finished my coffee. Then I walked upstairs and opened the drawer again. Doi Jai La Fien Banja Suakua. Chapter 12. Jam Bao Nat Kwan, Voikachchi Tietruakjo. Maris La Goafu. Tomas Chua Tung Juak Nak Toi Kwai Hok Bong La Kua Riengba. I logged in. Clicked Pay Now. The tuition portal loaded slowly. Declan's oldest Mira had one more semester left. I'd covered every bill since her freshman year. Quietly, completely. No one ever asked how. I made the final deposit, full amount. No delay, no note. Then I closed the tab, logged into my bank, clicked through every tab, auto payments, transfers, linked accounts, unlinked them all, the mortgage, gone, car insurance, canceled, cell phone family plan, removed, gym membership, Natalie's name deleted, streaming platforms, Hulu, Netflix, Apple TV, all under mine. Not anymore. I printed out one final ledger. The numbers didn't lie. Then I opened the folder labeled Scholarship Fund. I had set it up years ago after selling the beach cottage Thomas and I bought in our 30s. He was already gone by then. I hadn't told anyone. Not Declan. Not even June. Just a quiet account with a quiet purpose. For someone's education, I'd told the banker even if it's not my own grandchild. I scrolled past Mira's name, past the rows tied to Declan's zip code, found a quiet applicant from a nearby school, someone I'd never met. Single mom, part-time job, 3.9 GPA, no assumptions, no entitlement. I rewrote the recipient form, signed the release, new recipient, new hope. I sealed the envelope myself. Then I opened my Zelle app. Years of transfers stared back at me. $300 for a school trip, $450 for unexpected dental, $80 for birthday decorations, $200 labeled just this once. I deleted the history, erased every record, closed the app. Freedom doesn't come with applause. It comes with clicking remove beneficiary and never hearing a thank you. I stood, poured myself a second coffee, took it black, strong. Mira came downstairs, hair-wet backpack slung over one shoulder. She smiled. "Morning, Grandma?" "Good morning," I said. She didn't know yet. She didn't need to. She'd finish her year without feeling the cut, but she wouldn't be raised thinking this kind of silence was normal. "You have everything you need?" I asked. She nodded. "Mom said she's picking me up after class." I raised an eyebrow. "Is that new, yeah?" She shrugged. She said something about doing more on her own now. I nodded. "Have a good day, sweetheart." She waved and left. I watched from the window, her figure small but steady, disappearing down the driveway. Then I walked back to my desk, placed the printed ledger in the red binder, zipped it shut, and pulled out a fresh envelope. Natalie slammed a catalog on the kitchen table. "I'm remodeling this. The cabinets are ancient. The lighting's depressing. It's embarrassing when guests come over." I stirred my coffee. Didn't flinch. "I want quartz counters," she went on. "And a waterfall island?" "That's the style now." Declan chimed in from the hallway, voice casual. "Mom, you've said before you'd help." "Right. If we made the house better." I nodded slowly. "Of course. If it's important to you, I'll cover it." Natalie blinked, caught off guard. Then she smiled too brightly. "Oh. Well, good." She pulled out her phone and began scrolling through inspiration photos as if I'd just handed her a blank check. Her voice softened, oozed sweetness. "This will really elevate the whole space. Maybe we could even do a little built-in breakfast nook and a deep farmhouse sink. Oh, and tile. The backsplash has to go." I reached into the drawer and pulled out my notepad. I wrote, "Promised payment, remodeling. Not yet paid. Subject to review." I signed it, tore off a copy. She looked at the note with a flicker of confusion. "For your records," I said. I folded the second copy, tucked it into an envelope, and slipped it into my purse. Later that day, I drove to Cameron's office. He didn't say a word when I handed him the envelope. He just nodded, slid it into the red binder, and wrote a date on the tab. Back home, Natalie had already started taping paint swatches to the cabinets. She wore lipstick, earrings, hosting mood. "We're thinking light gray and brushed gold," she said. "Very now." I nodded again. Quiet. Smiling. Over dinner, she brought it up in front of Declan and the kids. "Your grandmother is treating us to a new kitchen," she announced like an MC. "Isn't that generous?" Declan raised his glass. "Cheers to Mom. Always taking care of us." I lifted my water. Then I folded my napkin slowly and excused myself. In my room, I opened the drawer and added another line to the yellow notepad. Kitchen remodel recorded offer no contract. No payment. I stared at the words. Natalie thought agreement meant surrender. She didn't know it was bait. I opened my laptop, pulled up the contractor's name from the business card she left behind, and typed a short email. To whom it may concern, please do not begin any project until funding is formally confirmed in writing. Sincerely, Maris Langford property title holder. Then I hit send. The oven beeped. I opened it. Steam burst out, hit my face. The roast was done. I basted it again anyway. Natalie fluttered past me, heels clicking, dress too white for a hostess. Make sure the potatoes are hot when served, she said, barely looking. She didn't touch a single dish. The dining room shimmered, candles lit, silver polished. 6 guests, all from Declan's office. Promotions, deals, prestige. I wasn't given a seat. No plate, no glass, no name card, just a linen apron and a list of instructions scribbled in Natalie's handwriting on the fridge. I served each guest carefully. Napkins folded, wine poured, forks aligned. No one spoke to me, not even Declan. He laughed loud, called Natalie brilliant, told a story about finally paying off the second car. I had made the last payment 2 months ago. No one mentioned that. I cleared the plates between courses, washed each one by hand. The dishwasher sat empty, decorative. Natalie brought out dessert like she'd made it, a cheesecake I baked the night before. She winked at the guests, all from scratch. I didn't correct her. When the last laugh faded and the final chair scraped back, I started scrubbing. Natalie leaned on the counter behind me, sipping champagne. Oh, by the way, she said, casual, like mentioning the weather. We'll need your room next week. Jason and his wife are visiting. I turned. My room. Declan walked in, unbuttoning his collar. It's just for a few days, Mom. You understand. We barely have space as it is. My name wasn't on the door, but it was on the deed. Still, I didn't say it. I nodded. Of course, I said. I'll make space. Natalie smiled already, scrolling her phone. I wiped my hands, turned off the faucet, dried everything in silence. Upstairs, I closed the door to my room, opened the closet, pulled out my suitcase. I packed efficiently, just the essentials. Clothes, meds, jewelry I hadn't worn in years. My binder. I zipped it up, placed it by the door, sat on the bed and looked around. Noticed how nothing here belonged to me anymore. I reached into the drawer, took out the red envelope, labeled open, only when forgotten. And I waited. I signed the paper, pen firm in hand, Cameron beside me, his voice clear. The lien holder has requested auction of the property listed on file. Legal authority granted, all documentation verified. People murmured. A small crowd gathered outside the county building, mostly strangers. One neighbor I recognized from summers past. The lake house deed lay on the folding table. A yellow file, clean, labeled. My name still on it. I had waited long enough. The auctioneer called for bids. Numbers floated like dust in the air. One man raised a hand, another offered slightly more. Calm voices, focused eyes. I didn't watch them. I watched the gravel path, and then I saw him. Declan's car skidded to a stop. Door slammed, shoes crunching as he rushed forward. Mom. He looked wild, shirt wrinkled, tie crooked. I didn't flinch. He reached the table just as the gavel came down. Sold. I handed Cameron the signed transfer. He nodded, logged it. Declan spun to me. What are you doing? I turned fully, looked him in the eyes. Steady, calm. I thought I never gave this family anything I said. He blinked. That's what you told me, right? At Thanksgiving, his mouth opened closed. No words. The people nearby tried not to stare. I didn't care. I continued. I bought that house with your father. Paid every tax. Covered every repair. It was mine before Natalie ever knew your name. You can't just, he started. I raised a hand. I can. I did. He looked to Cameron. Can she do this? Cameron didn't even blink. She already has. Declan stepped back. Stunned. You didn't even warn me, he said quietly. I nodded. You're right. I didn't. Then I picked up my binder, slid the pen into its spine, closed the clasp. The new owner shook my hand, asked nothing personal, just smiled. I stepped off the sidewalk. Declan didn't follow. Behind me, the sign went up. Auction complete. Transfer pending. I didn't turn around. At the crosswalk, I stopped. Waited for the light. Cars passed. Sun warm on my back. I heard Declan's voice behind me, low, frantic, pleading. Not for me. Into the phone. She sold it. She actually sold it. I crossed the street. I opened the thread. Family group, it was still labeled. A title no one had earned. I scrolled. Photos of Declan grilling. Natalie posing by countertops. Mira's field trip. My own messages, reminders, encouragement payments, ignored. Double-checked but never answered. I clicked new message. Typed slow, firm, measured, distance granted. Utilities tuition loans all canceled. You're welcome. I hit send. Saw it land. Read by 2. No response, not even a or an emoji. I pressed leave group. Confirmed, gone. I closed the phone, set it down, walked into the kitchen, boiled water. Not for them, not for guests, just for me. The kettle screamed. I let it. Poured slowly. Steam curled over the mug. I sat at the table, alone, not lonely. The silence didn't bite. It breathed. Natalie didn't text. Declan didn't call. Mira posted a photo on her story, just a black screen, one word, wow. I didn't reply. Cameron emailed me documents for the final transfer. I signed them. Digitally. Without comment. The red binder now sat in my suitcase. Closed. Complete. The yellow folder back in its drawer. Upstairs, the guest bed still made. Crisp corners. Natalie's throw pillow fluffed just so. They hadn't asked if I'd moved out. They hadn't noticed I already had. The contractor emailed a second time about the kitchen remodel. I forwarded him. Cameron's note project no longer approved. Property owner has declined. No arguments followed. I brewed more coffee. Folded laundry. Washed a plate. Nothing urgent. No orders barked. No calendars built around someone else's mood swings. Just peace. At noon, I opened the door. The sun cut clean lines across the porch. A neighbor waved. Did you sell the lake house? She asked. I smiled. Yes. Shame. Beautiful view. It served its purpose. She nodded, kept walking. I stepped back inside, locked the door, then took the envelope from the drawer, the red one marked, open, when forgotten. I didn't open it. I moved it to my bag. My phone lit up. Mira. They're kicking me out of school. Dad said you stopped paying. I let the message sit. Another buzz. Declan, Mom. My truck's gone. Towed. What the hell's going on? I closed the curtains, let the sunlight go. Natalie didn't text. She posted. A selfie on her story. Sad eyes. Messy bun. Caption, unexpected financial hardship. Please help our family. Link in bio. I clicked. GoFundMe, help Natalie and Declan. Keep their home. Goal $40,000, raised $85 for donors. One named Aunt Louise, another anonymous with a broken heart emoji. The photo was of the kitchen. My kitchen. She'd blurred my reflection in the oven door. I didn't comment. Didn't share. I sipped my coffee. Still hot. The hotel lobby was quiet. Soft music. Smells of fresh lemons and polished wood. A man in a navy suit nodded politely as he passed. I didn't nod back. My name wasn't on any group chats now, just reservations. 1 week, then another. Prepaid, quiet. Another buzz. Mira. Again, I can't believe you'd let this happen. As if I had dropped her out of college. As if tuition weren't something I'd covered for 2 years straight without a single thank you. I typed slowly. You're 19. Not blind. I hit send. Another message came in, this time from the bank. Auto withdrawal request denied. No funds available. Vehicle loan unpaid. I smiled. I had moved everything. Declan's name had once been on my secondary account. Not anymore. I walked to the counter, asked for a late checkout. The clerk smiled. Of course, Ms. Langford. No rush. Back upstairs, I opened my laptop. Email from Cameron. Subject: confirmation, title transfer successful. Below it, a PDF. Digital proof. Legal language. Final. Everything I had once given now closed. No open faucets. No more quiet deposits into a family that treated me like plumbing. I poured the last of the coffee. Packed my bag. Declan's name buzzed on my screen again. I let it ring. No voicemail. I stood at the mirror. No makeup. Just me. No apron. No dishes waitin'. The only thing on my schedule, silence. Emma shoved her phone across the table. Did you see this? I took it. The screen lit up. A photo Christmas morning, matching pajamas. Declan on the couch. Mira by the tree. Natalie holding a mug. My mug. Everyone smiling. Everyone except me. Because I wasn't there. Correction, I was there. In the original. Just not in the version they posted. Natalie had cropped me out. Cleanly. No trace. No awkward edge of a robe. No blurry shoulder. Just enough tree to fill the space where I'd once sat, holding the tray of cinnamon rolls. I handed the phone back. Emma didn't look away. You okay? I've seen worse. She raised an eyebrow, then tapped her screen again. Scrolled down. Found the post. Typed one comment. Funny, considering who paid for the outfits. Hit send. We waited. Natalie deleted the post 3 minutes later. Emma laughed. Guess the caption didn't fit anymore. It had read, "Grateful for our beautiful family and all the love we share." I stirred my coffee. No cream. Emma leaned forward. Do they even know what you've done for them? They knew when it was convenient. They'll know now. I didn't answer. Emma reached into her bag, pulled out a folded napkin. Inside a receipt from last Christmas. Her name, not mine. You paid for our flights too, just so we could all be together. I nodded. I found this in Mira's jacket, she said, pushing the receipt toward me. Maybe she forgot it was there. Maybe she wanted me to see. I looked at the date, December 19th, one day before they asked me to stay in the kitchen during gift opening so the photos would look cleaner. I folded the napkin back over the receipt, slipped it into my purse. I'm not angry, I said. Emma frowned. Why not? Because it's over. Her eyes softened. I stood, picked up my coat. I need to stop by the post office. For what? I paused. To send someone something they left behind. She didn't ask who. She didn't have to. I drove slowly, turned off my headlights before I hit the edge of the cul-de-sac, let the car glide on momentum, tires whispering over the pavement. The main house came into view, dark, quiet. No porch light, no shadows moving behind the curtains. Just a crooked for sale sign leaning like it was ashamed to stand straight. The kitchen window, the one I used to watch the birds through, was boarded. Not broken, just covered. Like someone was hiding the emptiness. I pulled up beside the mailbox, killed the engine, opened the glove compartment, took out the envelope, thick, unsealed, inside every receipt. Tuition, mortgage help, loan cosign, grocery delivery, Mira's orthodontist, the hospital visit when Declan broke his wrist at 14. Even the gas bill from the month Natalie forgot to pay it. I added a single note on top. In case you ever wonder who gave what. No signature. I slid it into the mailbox. Didn't slam the lid. Didn't look back. I drove away as quietly as I had come. At the light, I waited. A truck passed. Not Declan's. His had been repossessed 2 weeks ago. This one was cleaner, driven by someone with their headlights on. I watched until it disappeared. The red light blinked green. I turned, back toward the hotel. The parking lot was empty. A weekday calm. I parked under a lamp, walked in with only my purse, left everything else in the trunk. Upstairs, I turned on one lamp, made 1 cup of coffee. Black. Steady hands. Sat at the table. No buzzing. No begging. No accusations. Just the hum of a room that didn't belong to anyone else. I took out my notebook. Drew a line through the words, mortgage truck loan utilities, then added one more. My name, I stared at it. Didn't cross it out. Didn't underline it. Just let it be. The cup emptied slowly. Not rushed, not cold. Just enough. I unlocked the door myself. No parade. No welcome banner. Just the quiet click of a key turning for no one but me. I stepped into the space. Small. Clean. Mine. No noise. No stairs creaking under someone else's anger. No faucet dripping with expectation. Just air. And light. And room to exhale. I walked to the window, set the chair down. Just one. Faced it toward the street. Watched the breeze nudge the branches outside. Went to the kitchen. Opened the cabinet. One mug. Poured coffee. No sugar. No cream. No other hands reaching for the pot first. I carried the cup to the window. Sat. Next to me on the small table, a photo. Emma and me. Both laughing. No edits. No crop. She'd taken it 2 weeks ago. Said, I want to remember the version of you that isn't shrinking to fit anyone's comfort. I had framed it. Beside the photo, a single brass key. Not to a house I paid for and never owned. Not to a room they could kick me out of. To this place. This quiet. This life. Mine. I leaned back. Let the sunlight hit my collarbone. Let the heat from the mug settle in my palms. I didn't scroll. Didn't check messages. There weren't any. Declan hadn't called. Mira had unfollowed me. Natalie was too proud to beg, too broke to ignore. That silence used to sting. Now it felt like space. On the wall across from me hung nothing. No awards, no reminders. Just one word stenciled on a scrap of driftwood Emma had painted. Peace. She'd brought it over the night I signed the lease. Hung it without asking, said, it's not a decoration. It's a boundary. I believed her. I sipped the coffee. No plans, no errands, no invisible checklist of how to make myself needed. I watched a child skip down the sidewalk. Alone. Happy. I didn't think of Mira. I didn't wonder if they were eating. That life had emptied itself. This one didn't need filling. Just the chair. Just the window. Just the truth of my own breath, steady and unclaimed.